Mara protect us both.
Improved Housecarls and Hirelings mod for Skyrim Special Edition by Dr. Nukenstein. Mod demonstration video, Erandur. Erandur is the former priest of Vaermina, now priest of Mara, operating out of Nightcaller Temple in Dawnstar. Of course, this pertains to the Daedric Shrine quest for Vaermina, the Skull of Corruption artifact. If you allow him to destroy the Skull of Corruption, you can recruit him as a follower. If you kill him and take the Skull of Corruption, then obviously you don't get him as a follower. But there's always necromancy, isn't there? So anyway,
Mara protect us both.
Now, he does start the game, or rather, the mod has him flagged as essential. But, obviously, the quest turns that essential flag off so that you can kill him and take the Skull of Corruption. If you choose not to kill him and let him destroy the Skull of Corruption instead, and you want to have him as a follower, you need to use your follower management mod of choice to reactivate his essential flag. So, he's level 16, I'm level 11.
I'm ready. Let's continue.
His one-handed is good. Well, it's okay. His heavy armor actually is okay. Destruction is good. Illusion for some reason, and his restoration is okay. Now let's take a look at him in the creation kit. That's Goldier, Erandur. Originally, believe it or not, he was set 1.5 times the player level, but with a level max of 50. Now, he is still, of course, 1.5 times the player's level. He's been out here for a while. Okay, he was a priest of Vaermina for several years, and then Nightcaller Temple has been vacant or dormant, whatever, for, as he says, decades. So, who knows? 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, I don't know. Anyway, originally, his class was priest, which gave him bonuses to smithing, alchemy, speech, conjuration, restoration, and enchanting. Now, granted, he would have learned his conjuration skill and applied his conjuration knowledge when he was in the service of the cult of Vaermina. Summoning anything from oblivion while in service to a divine just doesn't work. So, I made him a combat sorcerer class, which gives him bonuses to one-handed, heavy armor, and destruction, and unfortunately illusion. So, now, his combat style was originally human magic, which had a lot more melee in it than it should have. He was okay at it, but I'm turning magic users mostly into, especially if they come in robes, more into closer to the mage side of things. J'zargo and Onmund are the exceptions there because they came with their vanilla class gave them decent melee. and they're pretty good at it. Using melee and magic at the same time. So anyway, changed Erandur's combat style from human magic to warlock, which will make him much more reliant on magic than melee. Pardon. No. Inventory. Monk robes, monk outfit, that's vanilla. And he did come with leveled mace best, so I left him with that. And these restore health potions and some torches. So I just pretty much left him with everything he had. Spell list. Now, originally he came with flames, firebolt, and lesser ward. Now, I don't allow followers to cast flames, frostbite, or sparks because of Mercurio, who was spamming sparks when he could have been casting lightning bolt. He had the level, he had the magicka. He cast it a couple of times, but for the rest of the journey he was spamming sparks. So I went in, took all the lowest level destruction spells away from all the followers. Now, also took away wards from all the followers, because they were using them, trying to use them to block melee attacks to the extent that they would not use their offensive spells, or if they had it, melee. And if they had mage armor, they would cast that with the other hand and not attack. So, now, the other thing, magic is the manipulation of the natural forces around you. Dark elves are predisposed to fire magic, fire-based magic, because their racial ability, power, is Ancestor's Wrath, which is a flame cloak. So they are predisposed to fire magic. He does say that he grew up in the Pale, spent most of his life there, and for a Dunmer, that's quite a statement. Now, another Dark Elf, one in Darkwater Crossing, indicates that he has been mining for over a century. And the lore states that Dark Elves do live quite a long time. 300 years-ish is about average. So he would have had plenty of time to study and learn how to manipulate the cold of the Pale. And thus, he is both a fire and an ice mage. Now, he is one of those mages that will use the adept level destruction spells, so destruction 50, and move up to the expert level destruction 75 when he hits that mark. Now, I'm level 11. Let's see. He's level 16. Now, he has been using fire magic through here, but just to be sure, okay, so he has hit the level required to cast adept level spells. Fire Burst, and Ice Shard. Now, Fire Burst replaces Fireball. It does the same damage, just without the 15-foot radius. Ice Shard does 40 points of damage without the freezing whirlwind effect. So, which he has no spells below that. So, if you come in and he is only level 14, well, they'll still be able to cast it. 13. Right at it, so level 12. Right. Which would... So he would have to be at least level 13 to cast that. Which... Yeah. 8, 12. So 9 times 1.5. So you have to be at least level 9 before you can before acquiring him. I believe the quest itself has a level requirement, I think, of 10. I don't know. Anyway, maybe not. It'll probably tell you when you try to go through the door. But that said, I mean, so he is capable of casting, like I said, Fire Burst and Ice Shard, the Destruction level 50 spells. He will eventually cast Icy Spear and Incinerate when he gets to Destruction level 75. So this is pretty much going to be your end game mage. He does have Destruction perks from Novice to Expert, as well as Restoration perks, because he can cast Grand Healing, which requires Restoration 75. I think. Yeah. He does have a couple of Mage Armor spells. Well, he has 4 of them. If he starts spamming them like crazy instead of attacking, I will remove them and leave him with just the 1, like I did Marion, for the same reason. Also gave him one-handed perks pertaining to maces, just in case he does break out with some melee, as well as Fire and Frost Mastery. Which are simply cost less to cast. Wow. Anyway, me with a magical bonus, you know, what's his magical bonus of 3,500? Yeah, I don't think he's going to need that, and that's, you know. So anyway, let's see.
Running out of room, eh?
What's he carrying?
I'll be glad to help.
He has an Orcish mace, he has his robes, some potions, and some torches. Fancy that. No enchanted doodads. There's none that I can give him. It's a weak mace. Now, he is one-handed. He can use any one-handed weapon, sword, or axe, or mace, but he does have a perk that ignores a percentage of armor, allows a mace to ignore a certain percentage of armor. War axes and swords will not get those benefits. They are also the weaker of the two, so they're weaker than a mace anyway.
I'm ready. Let's continue.
So, we're going to take the
I'm
express
ready.
checkout.
Let's continue.
Rather than schlep all the way back up Nightcaller Temple. Nope, wrong way, stupid. And head straight for Erandur. There he is with his torch. Go. So he broke out with the spell. Did not touch his melee. That's fine. I'm okay with that.
Right. These Draugr were once living beings. They deserve better.
Now that is fire burst. You can tell because it leaves frost residue. I know. It's funny, but that was the only way I could tell the difference between fire burst and fire bolts because they have the same projectile. Oh look, stuffed him in another hole. Then the same explosion, and like I said, I didn't want the 15-foot radius. The only other projectile I could have given it was frost or shock. That's just gonna look funny. I did like, there was a mod I had for Legendary Edition that had a flaming troll skull that you hurl at people. That was awesome. But don't know how to do all that stuff. Nice. He may break out with some melee at close range, I doubt it. He's not really the spell sword type. He is doing much better than he had been previously before I made him give him the warlock combat style, because he actually was using his melee. Really didn't want him to be that kind of character. Wanted him to focus on magic, because you've already got Belrand,
Mara, protect us both.
and Valdemar from Hearthfires.
90. 1.
The hireling Belrand from Solitude, and Valdemar, the Housecarl from one of the Housecarls from Hearthfires, that do the higher level spell sword things, magic and melee, as it were. With J'zargo and Anmund pretty much covering the lower end of the magic and melee bunch. then boom. Shakalaka.
Watch yourself. These Nordic ruins are notorious for their traps.
It's perfectly safe. What could go wrong? Hoop. Hoop. Pop my head all the way down. Hoo-ha-hee-ho. Come on. Now, this is going to be fairly tough on him. No armor, and unless he breaks out with some, no melee. He does have a melee weapon. At this last section.
Mara put 9. What? Will do.
See, he's got a mace. But doesn't mean he's going to use it. But he seems to be doing well enough.
Do your worst.
For now. Got him. Now we just got to get rid of her. And he did it. Wow. I am impressed. I am impressed. Good job. Let's see what he could have gotten out of the chest. Orcish War Axe. One-handed book he could have read. But, yeah, I mean, he did quite well. I am stunned. I'm stunned. Really. He did very well at that. With just his, I mean, granted, it's a destruction level 50 spell. And he's...
This land was my home for most of my life. And for a Dunmer, that's quite a statement, I assure you.
See? See to me? But then again, yeah, he was 1.5 times the player's level. So he is pretty much using a spell that I really don't qualify for at this time. Unless I had been focusing all of my leveling. 15, 35, yeah. If I had been putting all of my work into destruction, I might have been at that level, but or level enough to cast that. But at any rate, very good, surprisingly good run from Erandur.